What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the CEO Diaries. I'm so excited about today. I have my favorite person in the whole wide world, well, besides Josh, because I'm supposed to say that, and Fletcher, also that too. But right after that, I have the most important person, one of the most important people in my life, sitting next to me, and I have Kasey Geheb. Everyone say hello.
Hey, everybody.
I'm excited to chat with her today. I'll kind of tell you guys the backstory why she's here, but she is BFF, and that was kind of before. We weren't like best friends back then. That's kind of grown to that, but we became really good friends. You were my client first, and then turned into one day I begged you to come work with me because I knew that you had tons of skills that I could utilize, and then not only that, I wanted to hang out with you every day. And then now you are, how many years have you been?
4.
4. So she's been 4 years with Harper Ellis Hair Co, Harper Ellis Salon. You started there first, then turned into Harper Ellis Hair Co. And you're still here, thank God. Are you hating your life or you love it?
Oh, I love it.
So I kind of want to tell you guys the story a little bit about Kasey. I'm going to let her tell. I'm going to tell my side in a minute. You guys know I got to share my side. But I want her to tell her story of kind of like where she was before. She's not a hairstylist, so I want to preface that so you don't leave that out, because I think some people think everyone that works here is a hairstylist. But tell them a little bit about like your background, where you're from, how you even got here.
So I am from Lavaca, which is 15 minutes east of here, and been here my whole life. Ended up going to physical therapy assistant school probably 2010, I guess it was. I have always been interested in doing physical therapy and athletic training and all that. So
you're like a caregiver. You're naturally a caregiver.
Yes.
So that would make sense.
So I ended up getting that degree and starting to work in Van Buren for 8 years as a pediatric physical therapist assistant. So obviously very rewarding. Have a lot of kids that I helped throughout the years and all of that. Kind of getting a little burnout period. 8 years in, sometimes you get, still love it, but burnout period.
And she was working for a person that was actually my client at the time. She's an incredible human. She had like the best boss in the world, so I knew it was going to be kind of challenging for me to be like, hey, come work together.
Yes, so she was client of Tara's, boss that had already also turned into a really good friend of mine, so that was really tough for me to make a decision what to do.
Yeah.
And Tara was needing an assistant at the salon or somebody to help manage, and I messaged her just kind of joking around like, hey, I wish I could take that position, and she was like, oh, well, maybe you should.
You can, please, actually, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so I was like, oh yeah, I'm sure, I know that you probably need a college student or something like that, but nothing to like actually switch careers over. And she was like, well, actually, maybe we could work something out and figure it out if you're really interested, because you obviously were trying to grow businesses and needed somebody. And so I started doing part-time at the salon, part-time physical therapy, because both bosses were really lenient with me, giving me time to figure stuff out. And then your other person that was front desk just so happened to put in their notice. So I opened up a full-time position, so I jumped ship after a few months.
And she's been all in ever since.
Here we are, 4 years later.
Yeah. But I think, just to kind of hit on, it was hard because even I had my worries because we were friends. We'd become such good friends. And, I was like, hiring friends and, I've hired family, even friends and family. And, it's not always like smooth selling. But I feel like with Kasey, from day one, we've kind of had this like understanding of like, it's just a mutual respect of like, you respect what I do, I respect what you do, but how could I not respect what she does? She's literally come in from day one, and she's helped us build these businesses from literally the ground up. I want to talk about your work conditions that you came into. We started Harper Ellis Hair Co.
Okay. Not too long before I'd started.
Yes, so Harper Ellis Hair Co, whenever she started at the salon, was like brand spanking new. Within months.
It was
just started. She worked at the salon, but we needed help with Harper Ellis Hair Co because we were kind of toggling this like, the salon was like our money maker. The salon was what paid our bills, you could say. Harper Ellis Hair Co is this new venture that obviously at first it did not generate funds. It was, nothing that we could make a living off of. Basically, in the attic, we call it the attic. It's actually up a staircase, but it's in a room of like, what would you say that room is? Like 12 by 12 maybe would be probably generous a little bit. We had all the Harper Ellis Hair Co in that room. Like, I'm talking, there was a desk in there with a computer, a couple chairs. We had all of our hair in there. It was our warehouse. It was where we shipped out everything. It was literally all in this little attic room. And so she became, she was running the salon, and she put it lightly, she was hired to run the salon. I was at that point where I needed someone to like step in and manage these people, manage the clients, the customer experience, all these things. So that's what she did. And then Harper Ellis Hair Co started to grow, and he kind of phased into this like packing orders, and I guess that's really where you started.
Yeah.
But the thing with Kasey is like from day one, she's always given me 100%. Like you've never shown up not giving me 100%. It's not always been an easy road. We'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. So she's always been really creative, but you've always brought like really good ideas to the business, but you were just very consistent on how you were helping us. And the orders, thankfully, became to this point where it was hard for us to handle the shipping side of things. And honestly, I remember back, this is hard to remember because it's been 4 years now, but I feel like the streamlining of our shipping and stuff, like nothing was streamlined because we didn't know what we were doing. That wasn't a job that you'd ever had before, but you're a very systematic person. So from day one, you've always brought in, like, you found what wasn't working. And still to this day, there's little things sometimes like, hey, the other day you're like, there are 52 things that we're putting in our Harper Ellis boxes. Like, let's, make a change. And so you always find what's not working, and then you bring it to the table and make it better. And so, that's why Kasey's been such a vital person to build these businesses that we have, is because she's always been that way and very consistent. But I want you to tell them, how have you seen, because you've been, especially with Harper Ellis Hair Co, and I feel like that's what people are interested in hearing. How have you seen our business, change, I guess, in a way of like, obviously growth. We don't have to talk about growth. Everyone knows that. That should happen. But, have you seen our business change as far as people? You were our very first employee with Harper Ellis Hair Co. And then now we have, how many we have? 7? Or no, 5? 4? 7 counting me and Kasey, right?
And
or 6?
Technically, like Creighton and Kirsten.
Yeah, Creighton and Kirsten with our education. So now we're like 8, 9 people. And how has been the biggest thing stuck out to you with our growth, and like, why are you still here, basically? Because you could do anything. You're the smartest person in the world, so you can go have any job. So why are you still here with us and believing in what we're doing?
I just feel like, I don't know if there's really just one thing to encompass it all, but it's just been kind of crazy for me to see how things have changed in the last 4 years, like we said, the growth. But it's crazy because I guess it's the first time I've like really been in on something like when it started. So it's insane to me, and there's a lot of trust there too. Like I knew that you were going to do big things with it. Like I just knew. People were telling me when I was quitting my therapy job, oh, you're stupid, why would you do that? And I'm like, it's none of your business. Like I want to go.
I like my friend.
Yeah. And I think it'll be fun and something new, but also work. But like you said, we went from the little bitty tiny space, and like the main focus in was like growth within the company. Like we got to get, who all can we reach? How many states can we get this to? Like we were excited that we were shipping to Texas and Oklahoma and Missouri, and like it went from that to now we ship to Australia and Alaska and Canada and almost every state in the United States. So it's wild to me. So we went from that and like, getting more colors of hair. And then I remember when you were talking about, I want to educate. And I was like, well, that'd be, pretty cool. And then it wasn't a few months later, and we are, signing people up for this class. You perfected this awesome method, and we got people flying in from all over. So every year it's like something else like big has happened. And then we're growing and growing, and then you have like a line with a celebrity that was crazy to me. Here we are in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and I was doing therapy last year, and now we're at this person's house doing an event. Like, that's your product, the one that we were packaging in a little attic, and now we're in Nashville at an event. Like, it was just insane. So we've been like growing and growing and growing, but I feel like especially in the last, 6 months to a year, we're still obviously wanting to grow. We all want to grow, but it's shifted to like, you want the employees to grow too. Like, we feel important. You're, offering opportunities for us, and it like fuels us even more. Not that we would be fueled because we enjoy being here, but it's just crazy like how big it's gotten and the changes. And now we're in this beautiful warehouse and all the things. From our
little attic, we actually went from an attic then to like a small closet because we needed to utilize the attic for office spaces and storage. I was like, here, you're just gonna pack orders in this little closet. It was even smaller. It was like an 8x8. We did have another storefront after that. It was much smaller, and now we're in 6,000 square feet. Kasey basically, she has her own warehouse in there. It's huge and it's beautiful. If you haven't seen photos, you need to go look at it. It's crazy cool. But yeah, it has been nuts. But like, there's been a lot of good. There's been a lot of really bad. It's been nice, and from a CEO standpoint. And I know you guys that are listening always are like, how do you work with your friends? I know we just had a salon owners retreat the other day, and one of the attendees was just like, I hired my friends and now I don't even have employees. And I also understand that, just because this has worked out doesn't mean that I've had like failed relationships. And you've kind of been there with me through those different of relationships, whether it was the salon or it's Harper Ellis Hair Co. I had this conversation with Kirsten on her episode. The people that have like stuck around and that are still here are the people that have, where they started and where they are just morally sound people. And I think at the end of the day, what makes our environment so good, we all want the best for each other. Like, we genuinely, it's not just a front. It's not just like we just say that because it's the cool thing to say. Like, we genuinely want each other to live like really good lives, even outside of here, not just inside of these walls, outside of here. She was an employee position, but she sort of taught me a lot about, having an employee, because she had respect for me, and then I respected her, of course, because, of her just as a person, because I loved her as a friend. But then I knew, outside of me and outside of this business, she also had to live a really good life. And, you have income goals and you're actually, I don't think you minded that I say this, but you were the most expensive employee that I'd ever hired at the time. And you actually still are. She's the highest paid employee probably in our entire company. But now she's like our operations director. She's over every operation that we have inside of this building and inside of this organization that we have. And, it's been important to me that you continue to grow and that you continue to be more. And I know that where you're at isn't where you want to stay. And I don't want you to stay there either. And so I think that's what's been beautiful about our relationship and just you being here, is because from day one, when you walked in the door, you wanted nothing more than this business to grow. And, but I do feel like, and I could be wrong, but I think that you thought, if I grow, or if this business grows, then I want you to grow too. And so to me, that's such a genius way of thinking, because a lot of people don't feel that way. They're kind of out for themselves. They get jobs and they come on and they want to, what they can get out of it, instead of thinking of like, how can I help the other person grow for me, to get bigger and better. And me, I have an employee like Kasey, she's been so useful and just very, honestly, we couldn't function without her. I tell her that all the time. We really could not. I feel like from day one, it's been, I've wanted you to feel like you're in a place of like, I'm appreciated. I'm gonna make more money. I don't have a ceiling over your head, basically. And so I learned that probably when you came on with me, because I was just like, I have to make sure this person grows to keep you, because I know that, I know that if you get to a place of you're not growing anymore, you're out. And it's not because you don't love what we're doing, but you also have a life to live on your own. And it's not all about this business, and it's not all about that, because we all have our own things going. And so, but I don't ever feel that for me. I always feel like, your first priority is you want this to grow. And so I want us to talk about the kind of changes of, I know there's been changes in with which you guys that I've listened this entire season. That I had a business partner that is no longer with us, so that used to sort of manage you and manage all of our employees, or help manage alongside me. And kind of how has our morale changed from day one, even when you came in, and then to now, because there hasn't always been like great vibes, and I will take blame for some of that. I haven't always been perfect as a boss. So I want you to kind of talk about, if you can, a little bit of that, your version of kind of how things have changed as far as a management position, or management perspective of how you have felt as an employee.
Well, it's been, a little bit of, I don't want to say a roller coaster, because it hasn't been like
yes, it
up
has.
and down, up, down. There's been times where we're smooth sailing, and then there's like a little bit of a bump in the road, or last year was more of a big roller coaster. But
more like fall off the cliff.
Yeah. But I feel like, whenever I started, it was, like I said, I was managing this salon. So it was like fast paced. We're all trying, you're trying to build the hair extension stuff. I'm trying to keep everything going at the salon. You're still doing hair all the time. It was good. Yeah, it was all over the place.
Ping-ponging.
Yeah. But I mean, for me, it's exciting. I was like, just left a career I'd been at for 8 years to go start something new. And, we had, like you were talking about, the whole wanting to grow and all these things. Like, I feel like we kind of communicated that with each other. Like, when we had these discussions, when I was even telling you about my burnout, that I love whatever, but I'm topped out, and I don't like that feeling that I can't grow anymore. And so it was all new and exciting for me. Mm-hmm. Everything, is fine. There'd be an occasional, like, little issue with an employee or something that might have been causing a little drama or problem, nothing outside of a normal workplace, whatever. We were all excited moving into, like, we're growing, we're getting a new office, we're leaving the salon and headed down to our own place. So again, I felt like excitement, new venture. We're all getting used to being away from the salon. Everybody's coming into the office, more than usual, because used to people would work from home, but it was getting to be where we all kind of needed to be present and for longer periods. Then we started hiring more employees. So I feel like, business was growing, more employees, so we're all like figuring out each other, learning how to not get along, but collaborate, see how everybody is, And then I feel like, we took on more stuff. We did that tour. Your life got crazy busy, pregnant, or you're in Nashville every few weeks. It just went. I feel like that's almost when things started changing a little bit, when like the bigger roller coaster occurred. And not that you weren't present, but you weren't there as often. So like you weren't really seeing everything that was happening, or not necessarily in on every little conversation or detail as far as like personal life, or how things are going in the office, or how the attitudes might be that day, or just.
I took the CEO position of driving the train, and I sort of passed off the management of the company, I guess you could say. So
as far as the other person was kind of taking care of all of our daily things or requests, or if we had issues, and not that you weren't there, but you were at the salon, or you had a lot of stuff going and had to travel some. I don't know, the morale started just kind of going down, and some people weren't really happy to be there at times, or feeling like they were being mistreated sometimes. And then I personally would just like, I feel like I'm in a pretty good mood most of the time, and I don't like to be.
That's why I keep her around.
I don't like to be in a bad mood. And I know people's going to have bad days and stuff, but it would get to where I would come into the office almost every day, and it was just like heavy in there, and just was not the sunny 75 environment that a lot of times, because like we have fun at work, but we work hard, but you can also work hard and be like pleasant.
Enjoy a lighter air,
and it was very heavy, and there was some people, one in particular that was in charge of everybody, that was just really bringing down everybody. And they didn't necessarily have to say something specific. It was just the vibes that they were giving off and things that were going on that maybe you should leave at home instead of bring to the workplace. And then I feel like that kind of started rubbing big time. You know, because just like with friends, if you're around a friend all the time that's just negative day in and day out, and you spend that much time with them, like, you're gonna start to feel negative too. So I was honestly, and I mean, I hate to admit, but I was coming into work with a chip off my shoulder first thing in the morning, and that's not pleasant for me. You know, like, I had been enjoying coming to my job all this time, and then for like weeks and months I just have to come in most of the time, and I didn't want to be there really. You know, I'd still do my job, work hard, but I just wasn't. I was ready to get off and go home. And so that everyone in the office, it started affecting. You know, and like, we're all still got along, but some of us like maybe bonded a little bit more over what was happening in the office because we were trying to figure out. And then, you know, I didn't want to just, even though we're friends, I felt like we were kind of getting a wedge, not in like a negative way. It's just we weren't close, like normal.
We weren't calling now. Before and now, there was that space in the middle that we weren't. But before and now, I swear, like, we call each other like 5 or 6 times a day. We exchange text messages all day, every day about whatever. Sometimes it's work, most of the time it's not. But yeah, there was a time that we weren't like hardly conversating, and I was kind of in this position too where I knew that something was off with you, but sort of got to this point of, you know, there was like a wedge. You know, it was part of our management inside Harper Ellis, and someone was between us and made me feel in a place that we weren't good friends anymore. And then come to find out, it was also the other way. You felt like because of what this person was saying, we weren't good friends, you know, on your end. And so
and it sucked, honestly, you know, because it's like your friend that you're like, you leave your career to go work for, and you are like close with, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I saw him at work and talked to him today
for 5 seconds.
About business. And that was it. And then so like personal things, like, we didn't talk about really. And then things with the job that I normally would have like came to you about, be like, hey, because I feel like I'm pretty good about coming to you if there's an issue or if there's something that's bothering me or whatever. But I just felt for that time that I couldn't really say anything, or I felt that you were the one who instructed that to me. That just got relayed.
That's the way I wanted it.
It's how it was conveyed to me. And so I was just like, dang, you know, okay, well, there's nothing to say because you're the one who sent this.
I'm the boss.
You're the boss, and that's what you wanted. So it was just kind of a rough period, and like, we weren't really enjoying coming into the office. You know, obviously, like I said, we still cared about the company, but it just was different as far as the morale, because we weren't coming in there joking with each other, you know,
now we have a blast.
Cutting up and doing our work and enjoying being around each other, eating lunch. You know, it was just like everybody come in, nobody's talking really, we get our work done, and we're out because of the way that a particular person was kind of just acting towards everyone. Because it really will weigh things down.
I think, and everyone, it was a very eggshell, you know, environment. It was like everyone was kind of like, I'm here to do my job, but I don't know how much of my personality I can show. And you know, me, I guess I was really wrapped up in, you mentioned this already, but I was wrapped up in some collaborations that I was doing, and just a lot of education. We were on the road, and you know, a lot of times we were on the road together, but it was almost like we weren't together. Like, we were on the same plane, the flight, we would stay in the same hotel, you know, we would teach these classes and go home, and it wasn't like we were really together. And, you know, about that time, you know, very, very long story short, and we'll spare you the details, even though I know people would like the details. But, you know, you sort of got to this place of like, you were problem solving, and then I realized probably something's not right, and I wanted to problem solve. And, long story short, obviously major changes came on inside of our business, and this particular person is no longer part of the business. It was almost like whenever that happened, it was almost like the clouds broke. It was almost visual. And none of us realized, what even was happening or what caused all of it. We were getting the realization of what went on. But I think that, as a CEO and you guys listening to this, I made the mistake, I take blame. And I take blame of, I thought that my company was mature enough that I could sort of step away, and not step away from, the company, but step away from my day-to-day of, being with my people and being with my employees and making sure that my employees were happy. That it didn't stunt our growth, but it definitely almost could have, because you actually were thinking about walking out the door. You literally, word for word, wanted to quit, and I did not blame you after figuring out everything. And then multiple of our other employees also were, ready, one foot out the door. And so that hit me like a ton of bricks, because at this time I had the best team in the world as far as skill. I had you were here helping me build this thing. And then I had, of course, Aubrey. Everyone knows Aubrey, and everyone knows how amazing she is at her job. I had all these people inside of our business that I had the dream team. And, thank God, things transpired whenever they did, and I had this realization, but I messed up, and I think looking back, and that's, you and I have had countless conversations. We still do sometimes. There's still a lot of trauma within that season of our business, because we had a lot of emotion behind it, because we really cared about, that person, or we really cared about, the company in general. And so, now looking back, I'm like, I went wrong, because I stepped away and I trusted someone else to, be having the conversations that I thought were being had behind my back, when in fact the conversations behind my back were totally different and totally not for the company, or for me especially. And so that's been my biggest learning point. I know that you've watched me sort of go through that realization of oh my God, I've messed up. And, thankfully I made the decision. I don't know how I did, because I was in so much pain emotionally, but I had to sort of put Tara aside. And I always tell people, I'm like, there's two sides of me. There's the CEO, and then there's Tara. And, the Tara is the one that you and I, we travel the world. And if you don't know that about me and Kasey, we have a sickness that we call it. And what did you say earlier? Go to rehab for travel?
Vacay rehab.
We need to go to vacation rehab, because her and I, people are always like, where y'all go? Y'all travel more than anyone. And we do, and we like it that way, okay? So leave us alone. I wanted to, there's two sides of me. There's a side of me that has to handle business as a business owner, and then there's, the friend. And so I had to sort of decide, okay, who takes over in this moment? And I had to step in and go, I'm the CEO. I have to problem solve. I was the one, by contract, that had the most power within the business. And so I had to step in and go, I have to problem solve this and figure this out before all of these people that are valuable to our business walks out my door. And because I literally went home at night just scared to death that's what was going to happen. And that was my fear. I shared that with you, and especially when you said that's what you were going to do, you were like, I'm out. If this doesn't get solved, I love you so much. I believe in this business. It's going to be amazing, but I have to find happiness, and I'm not happy in these walls. And so, all that to tell you guys, because we wanted you to understand that, business is not you don't hire your friends, and you don't continue to go on these vacations and continue to just bebop around life and just be besties, and you go and pack your orders and I answer a few phone calls and then it's happily ever after. It's just not like that. But the cool part about what has worked and why this has worked is there's two sides of us. You walk in here every day. Yes, we're friends. Yes, we have tons of funny conversations. We honestly laugh all day every day, especially now. But there's two of us. There's two of us that go out, and we go to Vegas every other week together and have our fun and travel to the Virgin Islands on our girls' trips. And then there's us that decides to walk through that door every day, and we have a job to get done. We have a business to grow. We have money to make. We have lives to change. And that's the only reason why it's worked, because during that hard time, I feel like you put aside that friendship of like, I do feel like I've lost my best friend, or I've lost, a friend. And the thing about Kasey is she has like 1 million best friends because she's friends with everyone. Everyone likes Kasey. She's like the most liked person in the entire world. I'm just a friend over here like, hi, I'm a bitch, but we're going to stay friends because I really like you. And so totally different personalities, like couldn't be more opposites. Same on a lot, but opposites on a lot too. But you were able to put that aside, I feel like, and just go like, I am here for a job. Yes, the reasons why I came here are kind of not here right now, but I'm here for a job. So I think that's a valuable lesson. Like, you have to, if you're going to work with your friends and if you're going to decide to hire your family, I've hired family and it's worked out for me, thankfully. But if you're going to do that, then you both have to have the understanding of like, this is really, we're just trying to make a living also. And that almost sometimes comes first. And then, the friendship I feel like is just as equal, but the job sometimes day to day has to come first. And so it's just worked. And I think a lot of people are asking, I get to ask that a lot. People are like, how you work with your friends, and now everybody's my friend, but you work with your friends, how does that work out? Every day we decide, we have one job to do, and it's to grow this business, and we all have the same sort of, not destination, but goal. And so that's what's been great, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's not going to work in everybody's situation to hire. It just kind of depends too who the two people are, and yeah. I feel like we have that mutual respect for each other, and like you said, there's CEO Tara and Tara, but there's like, we come here like we're work Kasey or friend Kasey,
right.
Like I'm coming in here, yeah, we cut up and stuff, but when there's a job, we're working to get it done.
Right. And we switch it on and off, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
So every day it's like it's a switch that we just keep flipping, because we laugh a lot in here. Our environment now, especially, like, I love being in this building, like more so than even I love to be anywhere else sometimes, just because I love the people and I love the vibes, and everybody's attitude is great, and I feel like everyone is just genuinely happy. And that kind of started with me. Like I feel like I probably wasn't happy before, and it took you can't run a business and then you hate your life day to day, and then just think that your employees are going to follow suit and or not follow suit and be happy. You sort of got to make that decision and go, okay, my vibes are going to be good, I'm going to be a happy person, so then I can hopefully rub off on everyone else. But yeah, it's been quite the road, and it's been quite the journey. We've had a lot of shit go wrong, a lot of things go right, obviously. I've never asked you this, and I was gonna be like, I have a couple questions that I didn't prep you.
Oh, good.
Which we didn't prep a lot for the podcast. I talked about it yesterday. We were like, hey, I'm gonna, But where do you see Harper Ellis Hair Co. going in the next 5 years?
Well, as far as how much we've grown in the last 4 years, really gonna be huge. I mean, we're already big, but in the next 5 years, I mean, I just see new things being brought on, reaching new places, a lot more people certified. I mean, you come up with crazy stuff daily. Like, the one day you're like, I'm going to educate, and then they were educating. So, like, that's one thing about you. Like, when you say something, like, I know it's going to happen. Whatever it takes, it's going to happen. Whatever you're going to do, whoever, like, and we're on board for, we're going to take it there. But
I'm on board with my crazy ideas.
Yeah, I honestly, in 5 years, I doubt we're in this office right here, because I feel like in a couple of years we'll be outgrowing this place. I mean, I'm sure you don't want to hear that or think that because of what it took to get
word for word
building.
What I said to Kasey Geheb 2-3 days ago when we had our meeting. I was like, that we're not going to be in this office the next, No,
there's no way.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have extra space and stuff in here now, but we've already added more things since then, and I just feel like it's going to continue. And then education, we're already filling up this room in here now, so the more people, like, we're not going to be able to fit everybody in here when we have education. And I foresee a different building, a larger one, a huge warehouse. It may not be as pretty as I'd like it to be, and I feel like we're going to be expanding further than Australia and Canada.
The next thing too is we sort of niche down on our demographic of like whose lives that we're changing. I think that, one conversation that's kind of gone on inside this building lately is, our education is like that we offer at Harper Ellis Hair Co. is a breakthrough product. It's because no one else out there is educating like we are. We're actually educating on things that we're actually doing and performing inside of our salons and inside of our businesses. And it's working. Like we're not just teaching it because we think that it works. We're teaching it because we know that it works. And I feel like we're, the mission sort of is like, whose lives can we better? And the one thing I don't think that people realize is you're sort of behind that, like you're the first person sort of behind the mission of, who can we love, I guess would be a good way. And Coach always says it's a sign that he's gotten his office from The Office, the show The Office, which I do not watch that show, by the way. I don't think it's funny. Maybe I don't have a sense of humor, but something about me, they love it. And I'm just like, this is dumb.
I'm a Friends girl, okay?
Yeah,
I don't know about The Office.
Exactly. But it says, he said it, I'm going to butcher it, but it's like, do I want to be feared or loved? Both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me. Did I say it right?
I think so.
Wow. I've stared at that damn sign too long to be able to know that word.
You can't not stare at it.
And so, but it's so true because, she's been the first person behind sort of that mission inside of Harper Ellis Hair Co. Of like, we do love on people. And it's because we genuinely love people. And we don't let people walk out this door, people that do business with us and us like, run them in the ground or bash them or, we've had our fair share of crazies, that. But we genuinely are like, how can we make this person's life better? And how can we, I guess, make them feel like they're part of something or have them actually be a part of something? And so what's been cool about your position and what you do is, you sort of lead that with love as well. You literally take a list of people every single month and you comb through them and you're like, this is a person that we need to really love on, and you call me and say so-and-so's having a new baby, let's send them something great, or you call me and say, so-and-so had a death, or so-and-so has cancer. I mean, these are all things that's happened sort of inside of our Harper Ellis, and we forget day to day that that's sort of what we're doing. And what's been cool about your position is you're the perfect person for that, because that's how you do in your real life, not just your work life. Casey's always loving on people. She's the most thoughtful person, and everyone in this building can back me up. She doesn't forget anything. She doesn't forget anyone's birthday. She's just always out for other people. And that's a special kind of human, and that's why you're the only person that would be good at the position that you have and the job that you have. And I've told her, I'm like, that my CEO position will be open sometime. She's like, I don't want it. No, thank you.
Pass that to somebody else.
not doing this job forever. Or maybe I will. I don't know. But, she's just been such a vital part of Harper Ellis Hair Co. And I'm excited that you came on and people can kind of hear your story because you don't come to the forefront a lot, No. And you live behind the scenes, but that's what people don't realize is, all these people, the people that educate with us and me and, the coach and everybody that's on the forefront that people see on social media a lot. That's the people that people think run this business. No, actually it's Kasey behind the scenes that does everything. So, and then she's got Lena now. Lena, I need to bring her on the podcast too. She'd probably crap her pants, but
probably.
Or be like, no, thank you, I'm not coming. But she has Lena now, and Lena is in the warehouse with her, and Lena and her sort of head up, all customer service and packages that go out and just streamlining everything. And it's like a well-oiled machine in there. It's crazy. If you walk in there during the day and you guys are just packing orders like you can do it with your eyes closed. It's kind of amazing to see. Went from an addict to where we are now. So
yeah, we got really cool. A system, like, thankfully she's here now, and I know she's got a lot of other things she does, but just the things that she has helped me with, because there's only so many hours in the day, and
right.
The packages coming in, we're trying to get events planned, we're trying to order things, and it's a lot, and if you're stopping every few minutes, but to go pack some more orders, and then it became a two-person job.
Right.
Absolutely, because before I could easily handle it, but with our growth, it's not that easy anymore.
Yeah.
You could spend all day long and not do another thing but pack orders.
Yeah.
So she's been a godsend.
She really has.
So it's been
Lena's
great.
the best. Lena's awesome. My whole team's the best. You guys know that. But yeah, Kasey and I are going to keep on keeping on growing this thing and Still traveling. We've been a lot of places this year.
We have.
Already. What month is it?
June.
And where have we been? We went to Vegas. Twice already?
Yes.
And we're going again in 3 weeks. That's my fault, actually. I'll take blame for that. Kasey likes Vegas, but not like, I love Vegas.
The second time was my fault, though. March Madness.
Oh, yeah. The second time was your fault. The Razorbacks got in the Final Four, or the Elite Eight. 16? I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Or maybe it was Elite Eight.
They were in some finals. Let's just put it that way. Not a Razorback fan. Could honestly give two shits about the March Madness, but they won one night, and she was sitting at a restaurant, was watching the game, and she calls me. She's like, "The Razorbacks are playing in Vegas this week. Are we going or not?" I'm like, "Bitch, you ain't going without me." So I will wear a Razorback jersey, and I did. I went and bought a Razorback jersey. Had a hog on my face, like a sticker that you guys wear. Razorback fans are just something. It's like a cult. But anyways, all that to say, and then we've been to Virgin Islands. We took a girls trip.
Went skiing.
We did go skiing. I've almost forgot about that.
We have a problem.
We have a problem. And then in 3 weeks, we will be back in Vegas and celebrating Kasey's wife's 40th birthday. And we're just really excited. So we live a great life. We live a fun life. But more than anything, I couldn't do this without her. That's why she's here. That's why I wanted to bring her on and her kind of tell you why she's here. Sometimes she questions it herself.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and go follow Kasey on Instagram because she's very active. No, you actually are pretty active. It's just fun.
I'm on vacation.
Her handle is, what is it? A case of sunshine, which is perfect for her because that's what she is. She's just like a ball of sunshine. So follow her, and you can see all the travels that we do and just be really jealous. So thank you guys for listening. Bye.